Right. 2 great days of networking and learning. And here we are, the last presentation of the conference. I've been the part of this conference for almost a decade now, and each time I leave the conference with tons of notes, tons of ideas, and a lot of learning. And I hope it has been one of that kind for you guys too. I'm Anuja. I've been in this industry for over 16 years. I've spent most of my time with American Express and most recently with First West Credit Union. And today I'm here to talk to you about what my learnings were, where I failed and where I learned from. What are my inspirations? Where do I take? There's so many companies out there where we can take inspirations from. So I'm going to share some of those. And more importantly, talk about the challenges that we all face today. See what we can do to address those challenges. But before that, it's almost 3:30, end of the day. I hope you guys have cups filled with coffee or tea. And if not, let me bring up tea and coffee. I hope that wakes you up. Tea and coffee, 2 different beverages. And I think the same person really doesn't like both. It's either you're on the coffee camp or in the tea camp. Let me start with a story. Nescafe, a very popular brand in coffee, right? It's a giant. They decided to enter the market Japan. So Nescafe is owned by Nestle. And Nestle's decided to enter Japan somewhere around World War II. The research showed that there was promising potential to really enter that market with Nescafe. But the ground reality, very different. They failed miserably. So what did they do? They reached out to someone called Urpaili, who was a French anthropologist and psychologist, and he suggested just end all marketing in Japan around Nescafe. And instead, come up with a coffee-flavored candy in the market. And that was launched under the name Kit Kat. Well, what is that going to do, and how is that going to help with coffee? That sowed the seeds for future coffee drinkers, future coffee consumption. And Nescafe then entered the market again after 10 years with a boom. Result? Today, Japan drinks coffee as much as we do. They carry their coffee cups to their offices. So why am I telling you the story? It's all about financial services, and we're talking about coffee, right? This Nescafe story is really not just about coffee. It is really about the art of patience, the science of psychology, and more importantly, the courage to think differently, to think out of the box. Now, coming back to financial services, how does this relate to us? For us, it is really, we are not selling products. We also need to connect with our audiences, and in a very meaningful manner too. Solve a solution for them, not just provide products. Now imagine this. Let's say somebody is going in for a credit card. They want to get a credit card. So 2 people. One goes to a regular bank site, clicks probably through 7 different pages, applies for the credit card, and gets a generic email at the end of 3 days, maybe. The other person, on the other hand, is in an app, gets pre-approved quickly, gets a virtual card even for that matter, with an offer that is really relevant to their spending habits in real time. Same product, 2 different experiences, right? Only one feels like it more belongs in 2025. Yeah, Accenture study suggests that 70% of the banking customers want to have personalized offers, and only 20% of them say they are getting some kind of personalization. That's the gap. But that's also a huge opportunity for all of us here, right? So let's talk about the challenges that we face today. we are under huge scrutiny of budgets. The markets are shifting rapidly. Don't want to fall there. The markets are shifting rapidly. And plus, there is huge competition. Everybody is trying to enter the market. Now, in this kind of environment, the question is, how do we market better, right? We are in that turbulent stage where AI is changing the world, technology is moving, and I really like this quote from Peter Drucker there. The greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence. It is to act with the yesterday's logic. So what do we want to do here? We really want to adapt to these new technologies and break the old paradigms. We need to think about marketing differently. So let's see how we can do that. So talking about the first one, rapid shifts in the markets. That's our first challenge that we took up this earlier today. Now, each of the generations that we have seen, there are different expectations. There are different consumer expectations. The markets are shifting at lightning speeds, from millennials to Gen Zs who come up with a completely different digital expectations. The consumer behavior is definitely in flux. We have heard a lot about, from our keynote speaker today, about agile marketing. Yes, we need to be agile, not just in IT standpoint, but also in a marketing standpoint, because that's the only way we are going to adapt to this ever-changing market dynamics and market expectations. More importantly than that is also leveraging the real-time data, not just to present dashboards after the campaign is done, this is my ROI, but in real time to really drive through AI-driven analytics, even for that matter. We have spoken a lot about it through the conference, to track consumer behavior and provide the offers that are more relevant to each consumer. Now, it's obviously easier said than done, but we have also spoken a lot about hyper-personalization. Even yesterday, I think Nate spoke about it. It was a very insightful session there. And McKinsey has suggested that personalization alone can help reduce your acquisition cost by over 50%. So I'm not going to get into too much deep into personalization because I'm sure you guys have been hearing a lot about it. But I'll leave you with one example about personalization. Nubank. It's a Latin American bank. And what they did is, well, they are a unicorn right now. They are a unicorn neobank in Brazil. And Nubank acquired Hyperplane to accelerate their AI-first strategy. That platform enabled them to train, evaluate, and deploy self-supervised deep learning models on first-party data for decision-making. What did they do with that? Credit card offers based on real-time financial behavior, 24/7 support through Gen AI, and many much more things that could be enabled through AI. That was hyper-personalization. Not just the marketing that finds you, but the marketing that fits you. Next challenge, ROI. Well, I think everybody has constrained budgets today. And yes, in the modern marketing, we say the real engine of modern marketing is data. But that data is not just for reporting after the campaign. It is for that real-time decision-making. In fact, recently at First West, when I was finalizing my budgets for 2025, late October 2024, my budgets were slashed by 20%. Okay, how do we get around that? Same goals, or probably even higher goals, but lesser budgets. So certain things that come handy during such times. One was organic growth. That is not something you can do today. You have to start to reap the results a year from now. You have to start today. And Again, we have had a lot of discussion on how SEO is changing, GEO, AIO, AEOs, a lot of acronyms there. And yes, but we need to invest there. Second is earned media. Now, this is something I want to talk to you about and probably also have a question for you here. Instead of talking about earned media, let's take an example. Who in the financial industry is really killing it in earned media? Any guesses? Okay, let me give you some hints there. They don't market like a bank. They act like a media company. And this is probably going to give it. An example of one of their campaigns is Money Diaries series. Not yet? Real people talking about real money, how they earn it, how they spend it, how do they think about it. There you go. It was honest, it was relatable. It went viral. Picked up by New Yorker, Wise, HuffPost, you name it, without spending a single ad dollar. Second campaign of theirs, some of you might have been there too, Investing in Humans campaign. Again, instead of talking about products, they talked about anxiety, debt, confusion. Aren't those all the problems we think about when we talk about money? They went real. It was emotional. It was human. And it made to the headlines of Adweek or Fast Company even. Again, best example of earned media there. In fact, Michael Ketchen, their CEO, often speaks and makes it to the headlines of Bloomberg and Globe and Mail. And you know what? Today's GEO is going to pick up that, not any other ad clicks from a competitor. Because AI really digs into the trade publications and these articles from various publications. So that is going to get picked. That's how earned media helps you without spending a single dollar. So why do we have to go anywhere else? They're right in our neighborhood and telling us that you don't really need big ad budgets. You need honesty, relevance, and culture and timing. Now, most of the times, we also focus on, oh, I have to do brand building. Oh, I have to do acquisition and everything else too. But balancing short-term versus long-term. I earlier told you about 20% budget cuts. So what happened there? In the first half of the year, focused very, very particularly on conversion metrics. Showed ROI, we got a lot of acquisitions, and just with that, the 20% budgets were added back into the second half of the year. So balancing that short term over the long term, literally in the first quarter, we did not focus on brand building, pulled up all the money out of that and invested in conversion campaigns, got the ROI, showed it, and boom, the money was back into our marketing budgets. So that balance, short-term versus long-term, is very critical too, sometimes. Often we think about always filling up that bucket with acquisition and conversion campaigns, and sometimes don't even realize that the bucket is leaky. And believe me, filling a leaky bucket is just going to be wastage of dollars. And fixing a leaky bucket is much more budget-friendly than filling it in. What I'm talking about here is engagement, retention. Focus on those metrics. How are you going to use hyper-personalization? How are you going to use content like Wealthsimple has done, or hyper-personalization that like Nubank has done? And how are you going to help drive value for your own customers and engage them, retain them? You know what that is going to do? These engaged and retained customers are going to be your acquisition drivers, which is what we did in Amex. Even the Platinum card that was $800 a year, we drove acquisition of Platinum card through referrals. And 20 to 30% of our new acquisition came only from referrals. So sticky customers can actually help you save money in acquisition through referrals. So focus on that. But to do all of this, what is even more critical is precision marketing. Who do you target? What offers do you target with? And why? What messages do you go ahead with? Now, you may ask, what is precision marketing? So let's imagine this. You're at a family gathering, and there are suddenly the gathering splits into two camps. You have the younger nephews, nieces, cousins on one side who are on their TikToks, and probably the language of Dillaloo's and Skibbities and Riz, all of those buzzing on one side, which is completely foreign to me. And on the other side, you have the older cousins or uncles and aunts looking through Instagram stories and talking about or complaining about, oh, that avocado toast has started costing so much. Right? So two different groups and two completely different marketing methods, I would say. Because how do you reach these two people with a message? You need to be, one, resonating to each one of them, but also in the way they want to be reached and in the language that they speak. You cannot have, marketing hasn't remained one size fits all. You have to customize. And that's where precision marketing comes into play. It is about, it uses personas, it uses advanced segmentation. So I have used Environics for a long time, whether it was at Amex or in the First West. And it is really thinking beyond age, demographics, and really going deeper into who that audience is, who they are, what motivates them, what are their goals, what are their financial aspirations, where do they live, and how am I supposed to reach them, what are their media preferences. All of this, together with Prism segments, has helped me identify who they are, what message I should go with, and where I should target them. So recently, we did an A/B testing with an acquisition campaign, Prism and no Prism audiences. And the result was 12% reduction in acquisition costs just by using Prism audiences, because your targeting is so much more better. So another way of reducing your budgets by using the right segmentation and right personas from a messaging perspective. And this is how you demonstrate ROI, not just defend it. This is just a snapshot of one of the Environics segments, multicultural. And it will just show you how much information is there about any particular persona or any particular segment when you use tools like Environics. Of course, this doesn't end here, because you also need your own CDPs, first-party data, GA4. It needs to be all combined into one source of truth, and then layer on different attributes like Environics. So with all of this being said, we need to start defending our budgets, but not just defend, we need to grow our budgets by showcasing this ROI through different methods that we spoke about. Not really the last, because I'm sure we have a lot of challenges, but for today, the last of the challenges is competition. We know that traditional banks, fintechs, big tech companies, even for that matter, are all vying for that market share. There is fierce competition. So what do we do? With growing competition, there is definitely a need for differentiation. So from a differentiation, we'll talk about 3 points here. One is the shift from how to why. How your product is to why your product is going to be useful for someone. Really using relatable stories to tell this. And third is showing trust and transparency. And when we talk about trust and transparency, I think the one that comes to mind for me is Wise. TransferWise was a former name, I think. And they really build their brand around trust. But not by just saying we are secure, or they really empowered the users through transparency and active community forums. It was a marketing built on emotional credibility. And that is what matters there. In terms of talking about the other 2 points, the shift in the use of relatable stories, I really like Steve Jobs' quote here. If you don't know what a customer needs, it's impossible to meet those needs, right? You first need to understand those emotional drivers that may lead to a decision when it comes to any kind of financial products. And that is way more powerful than any demographic profiling. So how do we do this? Let's get into this video.
The world's first banking experience tailor-made for e-commerce and performance marketing. Uni's Platinum credit card is made for media buying, with 1% cash back on all your spend, unlimited virtual cards, and uncapped daily spending limits. Keep track of your money as it moves by integrating all the services you use. And don't let waiting to get paid stop you from scaling. Uni's got you covered with a credit line until your incoming wires land. You can use Uni for everything finance, from tracking payments across all your bank accounts to seeing how much you're owed by your payment processors. Uni will even automatically send invoices to your accountant. If you're in media buying, e-commerce, or dropshipping, Uni will be your loyal financial companion, making sure you can focus on your return on ad spend. With Uni, forget about banks that don't understand you. Simply create an account. Next, get your Uni credit card. Then, select your integrations. And enjoy your new financial HQ. And what makes Uni really special is that it's built for marketers by marketers. Easily track your money like you track campaigns. Go to uni.co and start earning cash back on those campaigns today. Uni, digital banking made for media buying.
So what does this talk about? This is a very effective, it doesn't have fancy creatives or use of AI and whatnot. It is very straightforward. It is effective marketing in terms of it speaks to the need state. It speaks to what that product is for and how it is going to solve the problem. And talking about the pain points is also made completely jargon-free. It's really focused on who that audience is, what are their requirements, how is this product going to help them, and with using very, very simple and clear language. Again, obviously, with all of that said, you need to be able to reach the audience where they are and in the right platform, in the right manner. Like TikTok, you can't have professional videos, it's not going to work. While YouTube, you can't have TikTok videos, that's not going to work. So the format obviously needs to be there, but the first 2 points of clear messaging and targeting the pain points is what Uni really nailed there. So by addressing those core needs, today I think our customers, what are they thinking about? Savings, confused about about taxes maybe, how to build wealth, what is my retirement fund, what should my retirement fund look like? Let's answer these questions, let's address these pain points. And that's when we are going to move from selling a product to providing a solution. So it should look good, it should be solution focused and addressing the pain points. I would just call it simply that it is emotional intelligence coupled with content optimization. Those 2 things need to come together, and that's called need state marketing. So with that, we spoke a lot about a lot of solutions today, but what I want you to leave this room with is each time you sip a coffee or a tea, rethink the role of marketing. Reinvent your targeting approach and redefine the success in terms of real customer impact. That is not only going to deliver results, better results, but it is going to deliver lasting value. And that's what is the need of the hour. With that, thank you for your time today. Happy to take questions.